Today's podcast is literally everything that cosmic money is all about. What does it take? What do we need to journey? What do we feel through from a strategic portion and a business portion and a marketing portion? It is time to stand for something so much greater than yourself, and you are allowed to. And I asked the question to all of our amazing guests, so what is the piece of advice that you would give to anyone journeying their way to multi-six, seven figures and beyond? This is my answer to that. Cosmic Money, the podcast. The strategy and energetics of seven-figure business. Hello, gorgeous beings. Welcome to today's podcast. I'm Skye Hanley, a high-ticket office mentor and seven-figure coach. I am so excited for today's podcast, and the reason is because today's podcast is literally everything that cosmic money is all about. The strategy and energetics that it takes to run a wildly profitable seven-figure business that is soul-aligned and sells itself. Hell yes to that. If you've been listening to our podcast for a little while or watching us back on YouTube, you'll notice that there is actually a bit of a theme with all of our guests. These are people who are either very close to journeying their way to seven figures, they are either seven-figure business owners, multi-seven-figure, and we even have a few 8 coming through, right? So the idea of this podcast is literally, as we said, the strategy and energetics of seven-figure business. What does it take? What do we need to journey? What do we feel through from a strategic portion and a business portion and a marketing portion to what do we need to understand behaviorally and deep diving into the human, as well as having a beautiful connection to, I guess, the universal portions of everything that we're up to as well. All right. So you'll notice that one of the questions that I actually ask all of our guests is, in fact, what advice would they give to somebody who is actually on that journey and wanting to go into multi-six-figure business or seven-figure, and beyond. And so I wanted to make sure that I actually gave you a podcast literally breaking down my answers to that exact same question. What advice would I give to somebody who is currently journeying their way to multi-six figures, seven figures and beyond? So I'm going to break it down in exactly the same fashion that I actually just said to you then, strategically, behaviorally, and universally. These 3 levels are exactly the way in which that I journey with my clients in business and are exactly how I run my business too, strategically, behaviorally, and universally. And I believe that each of these things absolutely have a portion to play. So the only way that I can answer this question for you is literally by breaking them all down. Let's start with the strategic portion, all right? Now, strategically, ensuring that you're actually getting yourself some support, I highly recommend. Me in business, I want to be able to fast track. Why would I go out there and make all the mistakes? And look, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to go out there and make mistakes. I've made plenty of my own over the years. However, if I can get support from somebody who already has the success that I am going after, why wouldn't I want to fast track my results by learning from them and getting the help to take myself to that next level, to up level my strategy, yes, and my existence. So in terms of strategic, like what advice would I give somebody who's on their way to, multi-six figures, seven figures and beyond, is get yourself some help. All right. Learn from people who have already made all the mistakes that you're about to go out there and what you out there and do, excuse me. And what you're going to be able to do is obviously collapse time and space around how long it would in fact take you to get the same level, of success that they have. Leverage somebody else's knowledge. Oh my goodness. All right. We kind of forget that business really is its own skill set. Okay. So you might be a really amazing coach or practitioner or e-commerce or brand expert or whatever it might be that your industry that you're working in currently. You might be amazing at that thing. Right? But, the portion that is actually business may not be your strong suit. And so if we are talking strategically, which we absolutely are, and if you ask me for my bit of advice, then I would definitely suggest to get yourself help and support from somebody who is already in the know, all right? Who already has the level of success that it is that you're journeying and that you are after. Because at the end of the day, there are a million sayings around this. Success leaves clues, money loves speed, action precedes clarity, all of these different kinds of things. They're sayings for a reason because they are absolutely true. And so again, I just sort of say, I don't know about you, but I want what I want and I want it now, right? And yes, we want to make sure that we're not too entitled, that we're actually out, going out there and doing the work. But at the end of the day, again, why wouldn't you want to fast track that? It makes no sense to me. All right. So if business is its own skill set, even within business, let me say this, I get a lot of clients who can get quite hung up on, launching and, client avatars and niching and, and in particular, even marketing. Now, business is its own skill set. Marketing is a whole language of its own. All right. And so, yes, just like going out there and learning, French or German or Indonesian or whatever it is that you might be doing, learning marketing as its own skill set is super important too. So go and get your help. Go and get yourself the help that you need to master those areas. Because you could have the best business in the world, but if nobody knows who you are because you're hiding in the background of your business, or you don't know how to market your business appropriately, or, nobody is hearing about you, then it doesn't matter if you're you're the best kept secret. Right? So strategically, my piece of advice is go and get yourself the help and support that you need to up-level yourself faster. All right?
I've spent my life obsessed with the strategy and energetics of seven-figure business. I've literally traveled the world trying to crack the code. And what I've found is that when you couple the pursuit of making massive amounts of money with the strategy and science of success, plus having a desire for significant impact and contribution, magic happens. That's why I created a free 21-day next level vortex money mission magic. Hell yes to that. This 21-day quantum business challenge is here to shift you into new timelines and realities. 21 days to quantum shift your impact, business, and your bank account. These carefully crafted and channeled tools are the exact things I've used to create a life beyond my wildest dreams, and I'm not done yet. If you're ready for incredible transformation now in all areas of your life, more money and financial freedom, freedom of time, freedom of lifestyle, freedom of choice, better, more connected relationships, greater levels of health, and simply calling in more magic into every single day, then these 21 days are going to blow your mind. 21 days of powerful universal, behavioral, and strategic tools to quantum shift your internal state so that you start to see massive changes in your external reality, bringing the metaphysical into the physical. Join the challenge now and get ready for the most powerful 21-day expansion to quantum shift your impact, business, bank account, and your life. Cosmic Money, the podcast, the strategy and energetics of seven-figure business.
Now, in terms of behavioral, you've heard me say before on our podcast, look, I actually think dealing with the human portion of business is, probably part of the most interesting piece about everything that I do personally as well, right? Because I love strategic business. I absolutely teach strategic business every single day. But at the end of the day, no amount of strategy can out-strategy a poor mindset. And what I mean by that is if there is something going on in the conscious, unconscious mind, if there is a sabotage or a pattern or a behavior or whatever it may be, if that is showing up in the human portion, the behavioral portion of you in your business, then no amount of strategy can out-strategy that. Right? So we need to actually look at the human portion too. Now, in terms of the human portion, I actually want to give you an ultimate success formula. All right? I want to give you 7 things that you are able to do to help you take more, and I'm going to give one away, courageous action, right? In relation to having the success that you're after within your business, all right? Now, let me just put a little bit of a preface here. Again, the behavioral portion can really delve deep into triggers and trauma and history and desires and wants and, unpacking the unconscious mind. Like, it is literally multifaceted and multi-layered, all right? Some things are within our conscious, we are aware of within ourselves, and some things are complete fucking surprises that come out of nowhere. Alrighty? Now, that in its own right, potentially, could and should be a podcast we unpack on another day. Alrighty? But today, I want to give you some really, high level actionables, ways that you can hack yourself and kind of kick yourself in the butt behaviorally to, keep on keeping on and get the fucking job done. All right? So, 7 keys to absolute ultimate success. Are you ready? The first one is know your outcome. All right? You need to know exactly what it is that you are striving for. I always ask my clients and potential clients, what's the magic wand? 1 year from now, wave the magic wand. What do you want business and life to look like? All right? Because from that picture off into, the future, we're actually then able to reverse engineer a plan. All right. We need to have the clarity, we need to understand the targets. We need to understand the life that you want to build out, right? I love that some days, I might work 2 hours. I love that I have the freedom to go and get, excuse me, I'm a bit of a girl, my hair and my nails done midweek. I don't have to wait to the weekend. I love that in my business, it's future-proofed enough that, if I want to go, I'm going to Hawaii and America coming up soon. I just got back from Queensland. I've been to Bali this year. We're off to Mexico next year and Greece. Like, if I want to take these times off and to do these things, I want to know that my business is okay. So future proofing in its own right is totally a whole other episode that we need to have a conversation about. But the idea is, at its most raw and simple form, is how can we create you a dream life, an existence by design, not by default, if you don't even know where it is that you want to get to. All right. You need to have the vision so we can reverse engineer the plan. All right. So the first key to ultimate success is to know your outcome. Now, the second is to know your why. I'm going to delve a little bit deeper into this when we speak about the universal portion to my answer here, the strategy energetics of 7-figure business. But for right now, what I want you to understand is that if you don't have like a deep driver, something that is within you that is spurring you on every single day, then those days that your belief falters or those days that feel like a bit more of a struggle and they're hard, if you can't connect to something that is far greater than yourself, you will struggle, and you will struggle in business, long term. And to get the success that you're so after, if every day feels clunky or you can't, bring yourself to have the, motivation, right? To do, the tricky things or to do the things that you don't really love doing sometimes, I'm all for business being joy, fun, play, pleasure, passion. If it's not joy, fun, play, pleasure, passion, it's simply not for you. I want you to follow your greatest excitement. But sometimes, we might be sideways on the floor having a little bit of a meltdown. All right. That is very normal for business too. Okay. And so in those moments, if you are connected to something far greater than yourself, I promise you it is going to be so much easier. And we're going to swing back to that when we talk about universal stuff in a minute. Now, the third key to ultimate success is, in fact, to take massive, courageous action. What kind of action, everybody? Massive, courageous action. All right. Now, when we look at the frequency of emotions, what we understand is that courage is actually smack bang in the middle, where we go from lower frequency emotions that are far more dense and, and can have us feeling stuck and looping patterns and feeling shamed and all these different things. As we actually start to up level our frequency, the first, emotion that I find, I would call it like an emotion of freedom that we come up against is in fact courage. All right. Courage is the gateway. Courage is the vortex. Courage is where we start to break through. And so if behaviorally you can show up every single day taking massive, courageous action, even when it's hard, even when it's tricky, even when you don't feel like doing it, right? Again, action precedes clarity. It means that you are going to be so much further ahead and you're going to have far greater potential if at the very least you are simply out there pushing through those edges, Because on the other side of those edges, let me tell you, magic happens. Alrighty? Now, the fourth one is do 10% more. All right. If you want, fuck yes, ultimate next levels of success, if you want average success, do what the average person does. Honestly, it's that simple. If you want the same average, boring level of success as every other person, just, copy them, do what they do. But if you want, fuck yes, next level, most amazing, success that is available to you, if you want world class, if you want extraordinary, if you want expansion, number one, pick courage. And number two, do 10% more. And I promise you, it will start showing up in not only your energetic space and field, but your physical reality as well. The clients, the cash, the courage, everything that it is that your heart desires. Now, the fifth one is, the fifth and sixth one I'm actually going to give you at the same time. The fifth one is know what you're getting, and the sixth is change your approach. The way I would suggest, to think of this is basically, it's this simple: test, measure, adapt. Test, measure, adapt. All right? Again, with taking massive and courageous action and also having an understanding that, in fact, if you're not out there making mistakes within your business, are you even growing? All right. So we want to be out there taking massive and courageous action, learning from people who have gone before us, yes, but also figuring it out, within ourselves as we take those actions. You need to test something within the marketplace. You need to test the languaging. You need to test, your programs. You need to feel into, your offerings. You need to decide what it is that you like and don't like. And sometimes we don't get that information until we actually put it out there. There's this funny saying that's basically like, if you're ever trying to pick between two different things and you flip a coin for it, generally by the time the coin has flipped up in the air and started spinning, you know what side you want it to land on. All right. It's a little bit like that. We can't always know when we're sitting back and, and we're in it and we're whirling it around in our head, paralyzed in inaction. But as soon as we start taking the action, let me tell you, all of the next most amazing, successful things are going to start showing up in your reality. All right. So take the massive courageous action, do 10% more, test it out there in the marketplace, measure what is getting you the success that you're after and simply what is not, and then adapt your approach. Now, the final one here as part of our behavioral portion, this ultimate success formula, is simply this: keep going until. Keep going until. If you want to know how you are going to be an amazing next level success at whatever it is that you are doing in business and or life, then this one rule, absolutely rules them all. Keep going until. In business, don't get me wrong, I have moments that I falter. Absolutely. I make it very clear that that on the oddest of occasion, I'm laying sideways on the floor, having a complete meltdown. I am absolutely out there learning from people who have gone before I have. But at the same time, I'm also out there taking courageous action and making mistakes. All right. Now, in those moments that I make mistakes, or in those moments where business gets a little bit wobbly, or the client cancels, or whatever, we hemorrhage a little bit of money I wasn't expecting, or whatever it might be, right? The thing that keeps me going is absolutely a total internal understanding and knowing that I simply will do whatever it takes. And so absolutely the universe is going to send me some, trials and tribulations. And in those moments, I will keep going until. And I know that about myself because I have done it time and time again. So therefore, in the action, I simply have the proof that I can trust myself because I know that I will figure it out because everything is indeed figure-outable. Right? I will find a solution. And if I don't have the solution rolling around in my own head, then I'm intelligent enough to reach out to those people around me who have potentially journeyed this before, like some kind of mentor. And let me tell you, I've done that a million times in my business career. All right? Keep going until. This is actually what builds confidence within you and your business as well. right? Because you just keep backing yourself. You absolutely are all up in your own belief. And on those days that it falters, you reach out to those around you to bolster you up and to help support you with a solution. All right. And trust that the solutions will come. So when I give you these 7, keys to ultimate success in business, from a behavioral standpoint, what I want to say to you is there's actually a couple that really resonate with me. And I'd love to hear, which are the ones that actually resonate with you most. But the ones, there's kind of 2 or 3 that really resonate with me. Absolutely, plan, reverse engineer, you need to be all up in your visionary. Sure, makes sense. For me, though, it's very much take massive, courageous action, right? The saying that changed my life will only expand in proportion to how much courage I am willing to have. Courage is so embedded in me now that, I can't imagine moving without it. Right? That doesn't mean that sometimes courage isn't hard or that it isn't a little bit clunky, but I just know that if I want my life to be better, to be different, to be next leveled, to expand, then I have to choose courage every single day and take massive courageous action. Because yes, courage is one thing, but acting off the back of that, right, is a whole other ball game. And so you need to do that, all right? So that is number 1 that really resonates with me. The second one that really resonates with me is do 10% more. All right, do 10% more. I don't want average results. I don't want to be like the average person. I literally moderate, the I guess you could call it noise of my life to ensure that I am in my best, most highest frequency every single day. I make sure that I am showing up, doing the do, being courageous, taking the actions, all of that kind of stuff. And I make sure that I do 10% more than the average person because I fucking don't want average results. I want world-class results. And you know how I'm going to get world-class results? Because the third thing is that, as I said before, I will keep going until. That's how you know you're going to be a success, because you have made a decision. You have drawn a line in the sand. You have stood up, in your own life and in your own power and said, fuck yes, I'm going to keep going until. I don't have plan B. There is no fucking back door. All right. It's that simple because, this is the thing that I'm committed to. This is what I'm dedicated to. This is what I'm devoted to. Right? And so, when you're coming behaviorally from that space, man, it makes life and business so much easier. All right? Now let's talk about the universal portion because it really does in fact tie into this, okay? So universally, the advice that I would give to somebody who is, on their way to multi-6, 7-figure and 7-figure and beyond success is simply this, I truly believe in missioned souls building missioned empires, all right? If you're listening to this right now, then you probably already know that you were born for something more. I just truly don't believe that you would be here listening to this podcast right now if there wasn't something inside of you, that's like, and I'm going to make a noise down the microphone, right? That's just like, I need that success, or I want to do more. I know more is available, or how can I expand my existence? How do I pick more courage? Like, you were born as a missioned soul to build your missioned empire. All right? Now, I want to talk to you about something that we call centricities, okay? Again, behaviorally, knowing your why, this is connected to that, all right? So if we are us-centric, okay, if we are an us-centric person, and look, I'm not talking about having a healthy ego here. I'm all for it, have a healthy ego. This is your permission slip to be all up in your own fuck yes importance, all right? If it's not hurting anyone, for you to have, amazing levels of belief in yourself, then fuck yeah to healthy ego, all right? But this isn't that, all right? Knowing your why or being, you-centric is generally actually the opposite of that. It's when all the fear creeps in. It's when we hide in the background of our business. It's when we don't want to show up and do the live video or put the piece of marketing out there or get on the phone to do those, potential prospect client calls, right? when we are us-centric, generally we have fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of all these different things. We're all up in our own fear. And when we're coming at business and life from a place of fear, of course it's going to feel stifled. Of course it's going to feel hard. Alrighty? So being us-centric is perhaps not the answer. Now, you are allowed to want for things in your own life. Absolutely. All right? But if you are trapped and hiding and paralyzed in inaction, then we know that something else is showing up in there. So what do we want to be instead? Then, the next level of centricities is other person centric. All right? Other person centric. Okay. Now, let's say, for instance, I was scared and worried about showing up and doing this podcast. I thought you guys might judge me. I'm not clean cut. I swear all the time. I stumble through some of my words and things like that. If I was all up and, in me centric, then it would be really hard for me to show up here and do the things that I do every single day. Because again, I would, I'd be fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment, fear of, all these different bits and pieces. All right. Whereas if I'm other person centric, it might sound like this. Who the fuck am I not to show up and bring you this podcast? Because at the end of the day, yeah, sure, I'm not perfect, but there could be something here right now in this moment that you could gravitate towards that could literally transform your life forever. So who the fuck am I, to be all trapped in my own, self-importance and scarcity and fear and all of these different things when there could be something rolling around in my brain that could transform a life. So if we go from being us-centric, all trapped in our own fear, to other person-centric, it starts to become more like, well, who am I to hide? Why would I hide when, there are lives to be changed or somebody out there that could potentially be helped by something that I say? And at the end of the day, yeah, there might be people out there who are judging me too, and that's okay because I'm not here for them. But I am here for the people who are ready to pick up what it is that I'm putting down.
Gorgeous being. It is truly my honor to have you here joining me on this co-created adventure through the strategy and energetics of seven-figure business. However it is that you landed here, whether we know each other personally or professionally, whether a friend shared this podcast with you as they thought you might get something out of it, or whether you stumbled across me by sheer accident or divine intervention, I want to thank you for being here and I want to ask you a little favor. It is my joy to do what it is that I do every single day. And so if you have received anything here, a piece of magic, a strategy, a mindset shift, something that has transformed you in some way, I ask that you share this podcast with others so that together we can transform the world for the better. One business, one human, one frequency, and one podcast at a time. Cosmic Money, the podcast. The strategy and energetics of seven-figure business.
Now, the extension of that then becomes mission-centric. And I promise you, every single guest that we have here on Cosmic Money, the podcast, are absolutely mission-centric people, right? They are seven figures and they are mission-centric. Now, what does mission-centric mean? It means, as I said before, that we are connected to something far greater than ourselves. That is the thing, and I have goosebumps covering my body right now because that is the thing in every single day that keeps driving us. Right? And when you are able to connect your big why to, again, something that is really far beyond yourself. Do you want to know what my mission is? And I may have said it before in previous podcasts, but my mission here on this planet is this iteration of, Skye Hanley is to unlock greater human potential and to help support you to believe in yourself above all else so you can go out there and inspire others to do the same. Because in that regard, my reach, my legacy becomes exponential. I just happen to do that through business mentoring predominantly, right? Business mentoring is just the vehicle for me. All right. And you can have whatever the vehicle is for you. Great. Awesome. But mission centricity is literally something that is so much further beyond. All right. My mission here on this planet, this iteration as Skye Hanley, is to unlock greater human potential. That's why I show up every single day. That's why I support predominantly coaches, but many other businesses. I love to serve those who serve others because then how many more lives are touched and transformed by the work that I do, and by me showing up, and by me sitting in my fear and doing it anyway, by me having a meltdown on the floor and figuring out a solution, picking my crown up, dusting that motherfucker off, putting it back on my head. Because at the end of the day, who the fuck am I not to show up when my mission is that great? And as I said, every single guest that is coming here onto this podcast will absolutely be connected to something at that level that is so much greater than themselves, that they truly understand, may not even fully eventuate within this lifetime. But they are out there doing their piece for humanity, for their community, for that greater overall mission. Right? So if we're us-centric, we're maybe a little bit caught up in ourselves and our own fear, and it's okay to have fear. But at some point in time, let me ask a question. How long are you going to allow that fear to stifle your life and have you playing small when you know you have that spark of greatness inside of you? I don't want you laying on your deathbed one day thinking, fuck, I wish I had done more. I wish that I had the courage, like that weird girl Skye said on that podcast that one day, back in the year 2020, whatever, right? Like, gosh, I wish I had gone after my dreams. I don't want that for you. All right? So if you are here and you are listening to these words now, it is time to stand for something so much greater than yourself. And you are allowed to want for your lifetime. You are allowed to want the house and the car and the notoriety and the dollars and all of those things. It is absolutely okay for you to have income and impact. And so for you to do that, you need to start connecting everything that you're doing in your business and life to something that is so much greater than yourself. And I promise you, from that space, it will make everything, all of the clunky strategic marketing bullshit that you have to do and turn up, rinse and repeat every single day. I promise you it'll make it so much easier because you are connected to something so much greater than yourself. A mission. Purpose, fulfillment. And so when I ask the question to all of our amazing guests, what is the piece of advice that you would give to anyone journeying their way to multi-six, seven figures and beyond, success right now? This is my answer to that. Strategically, behaviorally, and universally. And as I've said before, in those moments when your belief in yourself falters, when you are, without clarity of your next best steps, when your mission becomes a little bit blurry and far away and all of those things that can happen sometimes too, lean into others. And if you don't have a community or an environment, that you're able to get that next level hell yes support with, strategically, behaviorally, and universally, reach out. All right? Let's have a conversation. Find me on Facebook, message me, because it is literally me who is in there. And I am absolutely happy to have that conversation with you, right? Selfishly so, to be honest with you, because it is my honor to do what it is that I get to do every single day. And so if there is something that's rolling around in my head and you send me a message and you ask for the help and support that you need because you're taking courageous action to reach out and ask for it, hell yes, I'm there for that. All right? It is a joy to do what it is that I do every single day. So, come be a part of that and help me to selfishly spread my mission across this world.